What's up? I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I said. I'm going to respond to Subak, partially. I hope I pronounced your name right. Excuse me. Subak talks about how the main problem that the anarchist has with the government is that it uses force, to get people to comply with something. My response is so. This is not a good argument. This argument actually doesn't make any fucking sense at all. So it uses force. Who the fuck gives a shit? Force is necessary at some point. Let me give you an example, and we'll use the roads idea. This is something that is brought up by anarchists a lot. They talk about how, the statists say that only the government can build roads. Well, if we needed roads, we'd build roads, and that's fine. There's private roads. You can build a fucking private road if you want. I got no problem with that. If a company came to me and said, we can offer you a better freeway system, and they built it, that'd be fine. I'd use it. I might even pay for it. All right? No one's stopping them from doing that. It's ludicrous to even suggest that anyone is saying, no, you cannot build private roads. But, so I'm assuming you'd have a problem with the gas tax. I don't understand why. The gas tax pays for roads. That's what it does. It pays for roads and road upkeep and all the shit that is involved in keeping a road going. That's what it does. Everyone watching this uses roads, or if they don't actually drive, someone else drives them, or the things that they use or consume come to them by road at some point. Everyone uses roads. So I don't really understand what the problem is with paying for the fucking road. Alright? But let me use an example for you. Alright? I'm living in an area. The government isn't building roads. The community decides we're going to build a road. And this road goes down the street of the house that I live in. Alright? I live on the house that has direct access to this road. All my neighbors pitch in some money for the road. They say, yeah, sure, I'll throw in some money for that road. But I say, fuck you, I don't want to pay you. I don't want to pay you for the road. What do you do? What do you do if after the road is done, I'm still saying, fuck you, I'm not paying you for this road, and I use the road? Are you going to stop me? Are you going to use violence to stop me from using the road? If not, what's to stop Joe asshole next to me saying, hey, Chris doesn't, pay for the road, and they don't stop him from using it, so I'm not going to pay for the road either. And pretty soon, nobody's paying for the fucking road. You see what I'm saying? Your system relies on people giving a shit, and I don't think they do, for the most part. People like to have shit handed to them. It keeps society moving. But let's talk about roads more. I think this is an important point. It takes more than picks and shovels and whatnot to build a road. It takes big equipment, construction, all that shit to maintain this road over time. And sewers and all this shit. A small community can't fucking pay for that. They need to use the collective money, collected from everyone around the state, or whatever it may be, to pay for the road. So you're suggesting that if they live in an area where they can't collect enough money, I guess they just don't get a fucking road? You see what I'm saying here? It's not as simple as you'd like to make it sound. And you talk about voluntarism, alright? And that sounds great. But it sounds as if you're making the assumption that everyone's just going to agree. They're just all going to agree on one thing, and that's what they're going to do. When have you ever found in your life a situation where everyone agrees on something? You know what I'm saying? So everyone living in one area, they want to build, like you said, the widget factory. They want to build the widget factory, all right? But some people don't want to build the widget factory. Are you still going to build the widget factory? Are you going to force the widget factory on them? How are you going to decide? Are you going to have a vote? You see what I'm saying? Some organization is going to come into play eventually. You cannot have society without some form of organization. A lot of this stuff that you talk about, the anarchists talk about, A lot of them are things that can be done now with the free market, and no one's stopping it. Like, Confederate Socialist was talking about how people make it sound like only the government could deliver mail. Who says that? I never fucking said that. I don't know anyone that's ever said only the United States government is capable of delivering mail to everyone's home. No one's stopping a private company from forming and delivering mail. Is there some law that says that you cannot deliver mail? No. It doesn't exist. You know, it's cheaper for me to send mail with the U.S. Postal Service, but it's cheaper for me to send a package with FedEx, so I use FedEx. What's the fucking problem with that? You know, and I said that, and I said, you know, the government's not forcing there to be no competition, and somebody made a comment about how that's not true, about how they shut down these people that were printing their own money, a new type of money, and charging them with fraud and all this other shit. Yeah, fucking damn right. They can't guarantee that money. You can't just start printing your own fucking money. Are you serious? You want to live in a world where everyone's free to just print all their own fucking money? I mean, the United States government money is imaginary anyway, but people believe it's real. There's enough of it out there that it has some inherent value. Do you remember do you know what it was like back when all the colonies... I mean, this was just 13 states printing their own money. You see what I'm fucking saying here? There has to be some sort of organization. How can I be guaranteed that money from place A is going to be worth something in place B or place C? I mean, if we're talking about a bunch of voluntary groups, we're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of different currencies. It stops economies entirely. So what would be the solution? The solution would be to have one common currency. That's an organization. That's a force. You see what I'm saying? You can't escape force. You cannot escape violence. It does not happen. There is no world that exists out there that has no violence. It will happen. You can talk about voluntarism all you want, but this requires everyone to give a shit. And they just don't. Alright? They just don't. You have to sometimes make them give a shit. But a lot of the stuff that you guys talk about can be done. It could be done, and no one's stopping you. No one's stopping the free market. You know, no one's stopping. You know, this is a perfect example. All right. Of something that you guys would suggest that no one's doing. You know, the government is gonna. It looks like the government's gonna step in and provide national health care, which I think that we don't have the money for it. But at this point, it looks like it's probably better for everybody in any way right now. I don't see much that I can do about it at this current point. But there's a private sector of healthcare, but they're taking advantage of the situation. They fix prices to screw people out of money and make healthcare more expensive. Do you see? The free market doesn't present some, you know, everyone's not going to all of a sudden act nice. And you don't have a choice but to get some fucking healthcare. There doesn't exist a company that you can get cheap healthcare from. I mean, realistically, it doesn't exist. What makes you think it would exist all of a sudden if there was a state, if there was no state? I don't know. The point that I'm making is that a lot of the things that the state has to do are required to keep people together in a society and keep shit moving. It can't be avoided. Force can't be avoided. I'm sorry. It just can't be avoided.